Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to Bradley Central High School. I want to thank you for coming out. I'm Todd Shoemaker. I'm the principal here at Bradley Central. Since the incident that took place at Sandy Hook Elementary School, I believe that every administrator in the country is evaluating their safety, evaluating what they're doing in their schools. And so one of the things that we want to do is we have Representative Eric Watson here who's going to talk to you here in just a moment. But every day, parents come to Bradley Central High School, and schools all across the United States, and they put the safety of their children in our hands. And so as administrators, as teachers, we want to make sure that our students are taken care of, that they're safe. We believe that this bill is a positive step in that direction. As administrator, I want us to look at every available tool that we have in order to protect our kids. And it's something that we need to look at. It's things that we need to dwell on, and we have to be proactive with what's going on in our country at this time. And so we feel that this is a positive step. It is something that will help our schools, and it is something that will be beneficial not only in Bradley County, but I feel like across our country. While I don't believe that every teacher should be armed, I don't believe that. I do believe that people who are certified, people who are trained, should be and could be armed to protect our students. It's at Bradley Central High School, we have almost 1,700 students, and we have ex-police officers that work on our staff. We have military personnel that work on our staff, and I believe that these individuals are more than capable of being able to carry a weapon and being able to confront a hostile individual if they did come onto a school campus. But we want to be proactive, and we want to make sure that our children are safe. At this time, I want to introduce Mr. Eric Watson, who we're very thankful for where are you guys trying to find him? For just being in support of our schools. Also, I'd like to thank the other gentlemen and the ladies who are up here with us. But at this time, Representative Eric Watson.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want you to know, Principal Shoemaker, that I did wear your colors today. As an alumni of Bradley Central, proud alumni of Bradley Central, thanks to Director Johnny McDaniel, school board members, county commissioners, fellow elected officials that's here with us also today. Today, as a state, as a nation, we grieve for the loss of the innocent children that took place in that violent outburst on Friday, December 14th, 2012. The event was so horrific, no words have been invented to describe that experience. That those precious elementary students, the principal, their teachers, their parents, or the small New England town, that community would never be the same. There's nothing that any of us can do to ease their pain or to cause these little children to come back to their home. This tragic event would now stand as a true benchmark for what is becoming an all too common occurrence in our society. Reaction to the tragedy in Connecticut has increased the debate about how best to protect against school-place violence. For the last 3 weeks, I, along with school officials, law enforcement officials, state attorneys, research analysts, have created this bill. This bill is very similar to the one that has and is still working in different parts of the country. We began laying out groundwork and the framework for this law that would give local schools an option, not a mandate, an option to allow members of their staff or to allow the hiring of security guards to serve as an added measure to fight and combat an active shooter in their school building. The violence we see spreading from shopping malls in Oregon to movie theaters in Colorado to college campuses in Virginia and elementary schools in Connecticut has been spawned by the society in which we live. Politicians, listen to this, politicians can no longer be allowed to stand by and watch this action take place on our grounds. We must protect our children. Parents will no longer tolerate inaction from politicians. In America, we no longer live in a society that a lot of us grew up in. leaving the windows open at night, letting fresh air come in, leaving the front door open on a sunny Sunday morning. Times have changed, and good law-abiding citizens are being taken advantage of. Here in East Tennessee, it's a great place to live, and I'll never move. I love it here. However, these types of criminal activity are creeping in. Just in a county next to us, deadly weapons have been found in kids' book bags on school grounds, and gang fights have broken out in schools at the point where the SRO was overpowered and couldn't control it alone. In my possession today, I hold over 1,000 school violent events that's taken place in the school year of 2009 to 2010. Most of them involved a deadly weapon, such as a gun, a knife, even a bomb, or a threat of some sort. We have to be proactive, like the principal said, not reactive. I do not want to be the lawmaker that says one day we have to do something because a deadly shooting took place here in my district. We will protect our children, and we must use every action to solve, prevent, and stop these events from occurring in our communities across the nation. Our government does all it can to reduce taxes, promote business, but now it's time to do everything we can to stop the attack on the next movie theater, a shopping mall, a college campus, or a school campus. We must now focus on enforcing our current laws and expanding the use of resources to an unprotected class of children. The people must know that we will do all we can in Tennessee to protect our children and kids. Principals and school leaders in my district have asked me to present legislation that will, under specific guidelines, allow highly trained faculty and security staff to serve in this capacity. These individuals that will serve in this capacity will have to be approved by the LEA and will have to have a handgun carrying permit and become in compliance with TCA 3917-1351. They will also have to complete and pass a 40-hour course in basic school policing training to include training in crisis management and hostile situations. This is the same requirement to what our SROs are required to do in the state of Tennessee. The staff security member will also carry concealed, and no kids or citizens will ever know who's approved to serve in this capacity. That's similar to an air marshal. And this is not to take the place of an SRO. This is in support of the SRO. Their SROs does a great job in this state. With session starting tomorrow, myself and other legislators will have an open mind concerning this issue, and I hope all groups will express opinions, present facts, and hopefully we will pass a bill that will be effective, reasonable, to protect our children in the state of Tennessee. Director?
School administrators come to school every day with the thought of keeping the school safe. We have safety plans. We use every measure that we can to keep our children safe. Our school administrators and teachers are hardworking people who care about our children. We want to keep them safe. I do believe that this is another way to provide additional protection. We really thank our county commission for their support of our SRO program here in Bradley County, where we have deputy sheriffs who are in all of our schools, and they are armed and they're there to protect our children and our staff. We do believe that this would be a way when people who have additional certification beyond just a gun carrying permit, but people who really have additional training and are approved to provide additional support. And we appreciate Eric Watson for putting forth the legislation.
Any questions?
Would the requirement be that if a teacher or administrator or staffer is so certified, they would have to have that weapon on them? Or would it simply be access to that weapon?
No, it would be concealed on their person. And what's so good about this bill, the way it's written, is the local school board is going to have a lot of authority, policy making, in addition to what the state's going to require. And the intent of this bill is going to have to be on their person, not in a briefcase in a purse laying around. So it would definitely be on their person. Similar to what I said, U.S. Air Marshal, the way they carry.
How many per school?
That's totally up to the school board.
Would the school system provide the funding for the training?
It's not mandated. That's totally up to the school system. That's also, it's going to be an option that the school system will make that decision on. And the reason for that is because these are local schools. Every school district's different. You know, Bradley County Schools District is different from Shelby County versus Sullivan County, and that's the reason we left that open.
Would this be in lieu of resource officers? Because I mean, some districts I know don't have them.
Do you want to?
No.
Go ahead.
No, not at all. We do not propose that. We wouldn't want that to be the thought at all. This would be in addition to the support that we would already be receiving from our SROs.
So
We would not propose to allow this to replace the school resource officer program. In no way would we like to imply that.
And that would be statewide, Representative?
Yes. Yes. And that's, I mean, someone said that earlier, but that's no truth to that at all. That's never going to happen in my time, to take the place of an SRO officer.
I can see a budget fight between the sheriff and possibly in the schools and wanting to eliminate the SRO and deploy them elsewhere.
But I'd hate to be the law enforcement officer that made that decision in the state.
They deploy them elsewhere anyway. J. Michael Leonard, hometown.cleveland.com. I saw some reports where the TEA came out against your bill last Thursday. You want to give us any thoughts about that?
Yeah, and that's funny because my bill wasn't even presented to the clerk's office till Friday. And matter of fact, I didn't even get the final draft till today, this morning. And it's amazing how people can make a judgment call on a bill that's not even been filed yet. And I'd encourage all these organizations, don't judge a bill because what you hear about it. You need to look over it and contact me, because I encourage all these organizations, let's work together on this. Two minds are better than one. And we can change anything to make it better for the teachers and kids. Matter of fact, J.C. Bowman's here with a PET, Professional Educators Teachers Organization, and they've been talking to me already about this bill. Mr. Bowman, would you like to say a few words? He represents, I think, 6,000 teachers across the state. Go ahead, come on.
Representative Watson has been very helpful in working with us to alleviate some of our concerns as well. And obviously, liability for teachers is one of the issues, and we expect that to come up. We want to continue to address those issues with him. But one of the things from working with Representative Watson in the past, we've known him to be a very diligent legislator and be very passionate about making sure we get the right piece of legislation. So we think he'll be very keen on listening to what we have to say. So we're very excited about the potential for that. The teachers we talk to, it's split about 50-50. Whether they want the right to do that. But the fact that this leaves it in the hands of the local education association, the LEAs, we feel that that's the best policy in there. It doesn't prohibit it, nor does it require them to do that. So therefore, we really feel like that this is a piece of legislation that we can work with. And again, it's going to take the school resource officers, increase funding for mental health and guidance counselors. So we feel like there's a lot of things that's going to have to happen because we didn't get into the situation overnight. We won't resolve it overnight. So we do think that this is a positive step forward. So we look forward to working with Representative Watson to the final outcome of the bill. There's 3 or 4 bills that have been filed. So we're going to have to come together and put, one bill that keeps the pieces of and policy that he's put in place, we feel like are very positive. So the teachers we've talked to, a lot of the teachers around here and some of the superintendents, we found that are very supportive of this. So we want to leave it at their hands. So thank you, Representative Watson.
Thank you. Hey, one good thing too, and this is something that Bradley County, I'm very proud of that the school system has. We have great former law enforcement officers that teaches in our schools, and I don't want to get in specifics of what schools that is just for security reasons, and I don't think the director would either. But we have great former law enforcement officers, military officers at school that teaches schools now. And these are prime candidates to serve in this capacity because some of these guys, and they're in this room right now with us, they've served in law enforcement for 20 years as captains, lieutenants. I'm looking at a couple of them. And that's up to themselves if they want to go on record with the news media, because I don't want to pull them out for security reasons. But we have some great people that works in the school system that's very capable, and they're very smart. And I think at the end of the day, their number one goal is to send that kid home when they got there that morning. Anything else?
What have those teachers told you more specifically about why they're in support of this deal?
Well, you can ask them yourself, really. You want to answer that question?
I can. I think that it's like I said earlier, we have to look at every option that's available. And, you know, yes, we do have SROs, incredible SROs that work for our schools. But there's times that an SRO might not be at your school. And, you know, every situation is going to be different. Everything that happens, any crisis or anything that happens at your school can be different. We just need, I feel like that we need an available option of, if something does take place, that you can stop the threat towards your students. And, you know, that is our goal. My goal as a principal is I want to see my kids go home every single day safely. And, you know, I think of these children as my kids at home. I told our faculty, we had a meeting earlier and talked about this same issue, that we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that our kids are safe. And since we've always looked at the safety of our schools, and we've always looked at what our schools are doing and what we can do better. But what happened a few weeks ago has really made you look more closely at what can happen. Sandy Hook Elementary was doing a lot of things right. I mean, they had security, they had the doors that were locked, and the incident still took place. But in the back of my mind is, I wonder what would happen if they did have a faculty member that was armed at that time. What could have happened? Could have they stopped the incident from taking place? We don't know, and we'll never know that. You know, anything that we do, we're not going to do anything that's 100%, that's going to 100% take care of whatever the crisis could be. I don't know if there's anything out there, but we have to look at every available option that we have. And it's for the protection and for the safety of our students.
Anything else?
Mr. McDaniel, Representative Watson, have either of you all either formally or anecdotally looked into the potential costs of insurance for this, and as to whether your insurers would even cover you for this? I know that in certain sports aspects, there are certain cheerleading teams who won't do certain things because they can't get covered.
That's a good question. Matter of fact, I've spoke to some of the other states' LEAs, and it didn't affect it at all. There hadn't been no instances. One good thing about this bill, we're talking about law-abiding citizens that's going to be carrying these weapons that protects these kids. And even I'm a handgun carrying permit instructor, and even the 400,000 people that we've instructed across the state to receive their gun carrying permit, there's really been no instances where they've misused their weapon. A law-abiding citizen, and there's former officers in here, can tell you the stories better than I can. State trooper a year or so ago, Brewers Exxon, exit 20, had a traffic stop and had 2 or 3 guys he was dealing with, and a gun carrying safety person came up to help him out, and the 3 got put in cuffs pretty quick, and the trooper needed help. But we got great citizens in this state, but just that little small, less than 1%, that makes it hard on everybody, that causes us to have this press conference today. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that little criminal element that gets in people's minds sometimes, that just wants to make life bad for everybody, and they have no respect for person. And these people needs to be dealt with. First of all, Tennessee, they got to get serious about enforcing the law. We have great laws on their books here in the state, but they got to be enforced by the courts. You know, when we let murder suspects out for 3-6 years probation, they should sit in jail for all their life. Like the law says on a lot of them, they should fulfill the whole sentence. But our courts, it's a slap on the wrist. And until our court system gets serious about it, we're always going to have these problems. And a lot of us will be here today for a few minutes. If you want to talk to us one-on-one, talk to us one-on-one. And I'm very sincere for the media. If if you put this in your story, I'd really appreciate it. Any of these groups, people that has ideas to make this bill better, I'm wide open for it. That's what makes Tennessee the greatest place to live, is everybody's ideals and coming together and working together. Thank you so much, and we'll be here. God bless you so much.